everybody, and welcome to this episode of Two Bears Podcast. This episode, I have to put kind of a warning out there because we will be addressing Noma, and the allegations of abuse that have been levied against that kitchen and that chef, and some of the abuse that Zev and I have experienced in our career and our thoughts on it. Uh, there is a language warning on this, and there is a topic warning on this. So you have been warned. Enjoy the show.
They had free lodging. They had two, sometimes three meals a day. Um, and we took care of them. Like we took
Yep.
them out. We took them out like every weekend. I paid for anytime I was with any interns,
Right,
paid for everything we did. We went out as a restaurant a lot. We went on big vacations, like five-star resort booked out.
right.
All the stages who were there that season, they're on vacation.
So someone asked me what a stage was, and the way that I explained it is that in the world of being a stage, there's basically two different veins, and correct me if you think there's more. Uh, but there's the stage that's coming into a place who is basically working for free or for peanuts, and it's in the hopes that when a position comes available, you can snag that position. You're kind of like trying out for that position. The other form of stage is basically you're there for the education. And so, there's no real I mean, yeah, you may have a desire to work in the kitchen, but you're there to learn, you're there to experience, and you're there to, put something on your resume
That's-
that you've worked with such a chef or you worked with
Yeah.
at such a restaurant.
So I would say I agree with you, and I would add the third, and the third is just a hybrid of those two.
Okay,
Is what we had at Gigan, because at Gigan, the way it worked was to get a job, you had to stage.
right,
So you had to do a 3 month stage, and then if they were impressed by your performance, they would offer you a trial. And a trial was you had to cook five original dishes
right,
and present them to Rido, the head chef, Jao, the sous chef, and Gagan himself.
right.
And in the entirety of my time there, about 5 years, um, I only saw like four or five
Right.
stages get the job. I saw
Okay.
probably 15 trials.
Right.
I only saw four or five of them get the job.
All right.
So I think 85% of the people who went stage to learn and to get it on the
Right.
resume. And then there were select few who the conversation prior to the stage was about getting a job and that like, yo, I'm
Right.
trying a job, like if I do well, do I have that opportunity? And the answer is of course, if you do well, you have
Right.
the opportunity. Opportunity is a motherfucker, but you can roll those dice.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so what I think you should continue because you were leading the conversation.
Well, so basically, you have those two types of stage, and I mean, when in Spain, basically, I was a stage in Spain. I paid for my own lodging, but uh, we got to eat at he had multiple restaurants in Toledo, so we got to eat at any of those restaurants whenever we wanted. And so I was there with my wife at the time, so it's like she got to eat all over the place. I was in the restaurant, so we did have family meal, but that's what my meals were. On my days off, though, I could go into any of the other kitchens and eat. Uh, and then the chef would take me around, show me different places, do special events, so that was kind of like the plus side of working that. A little known fact was I was this close to being the first paid stage slash intern at Chez Panisse.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was yeah, it was, I forget, it was like $8 an hour is what they were going to be paying me to stage
That's
at
great.
Chez Panisse. But to get back to the whole alpha male thing or the male thing, my mentor, literally, her name's Chef Felder. she pulled me aside and she goes, I don't want you to go to Chez Panisse. I want you to work with Paul Bertoli, and who Paul Bertoli
When
was
you
one
see me
of.
looking down, I'm just Googling all the things you said.
Okay, so Paul Bertoli had his restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant called Oliveto, and literally she goes, you're an alpha male, so you'll do a lot better working with these guys in this kitchen than you would at Chez Panisse. And and no chores. I mean, she herself uh, worked at Chez Panisse, so she kind of knew the culture, and she plugged me in the right place. It was a good fit for me at Oliveto versus Chez Panisse.
It's very alpha.
I can't say that it's alpha, but is not as feminine. Where Chez Panisse had a lot of feminine energy in it, and I
Cool.
mean, you've met me. There's no hiding that
Yeah,
I'm a guy. So
you're a giant dude. So I don't have a problem with like testosterone fueled kitchens.
right,
I think, and I think, does it have to be that way? No, but like it can be very fun when it's that way. It's
right.
very. I come from the era of like, yeah, if two line cooks have a problem, you go outside in the back and you fight. And when you come
Right,
back, you make sure that like if you're bleeding, it's bandaged and you're wearing gloves.
right,
And then it's all good. Like, it doesn't matter. Um, I personally, I don't think I've ever suffered from abuse in a kitchen. Uh,
right.
I will say that I staged at Astrid Gaston in Peru, and the day I got there, they told me that there was no room in
Right.
any of the kitchens, definitely not the service kitchen. And I was like, well, why did you accept my internship? And they were like, why would we not? Why would we not? And
Right,
that's the only thing I've ever quit in my life. I spent 2.5 months, I almost finished. It was 3 months. I spent 2.5 months, like I would get to work at like 6 in the morning, cut and juice 500 or 600 limes, and then go downstairs into a walk-in cooler and be like slicing onions and picking flowers for 14 hours. If
yep,
they did let me into the service kitchen, they made me stand in the corner with a broom and sweep whenever they like pointed at me
right.
to sweep. And I fought a lot with one of the Sioux there.
Right,
Uh, just yelling at each other. He was a very aggressive dude, and I was like, you're not gonna talk to me like that, and you're not gonna touch me, bro. You're gonna lose a finger. Um, but I will say that philosophy of just taking interns just to have workforce, they did pay. They paid like 900 soles a month, which is like $300 a month or something.
right,
But I would still say that leans into the shady area of like the unsavory world of staging. Now, when it comes to like Noma, okay, so at Gagan we had stages every 3 months. As I said, they could have an opportunity to get a job, but the stages at Gagan learned everything. They were divided into prep and service, and then they flipped. There were stages in at the chef's table. There were stages doing all forms of prep. In service, there was at least one stage on every service station. Like they
right.
really got to learn. Like they got all the recipes, all the techniques. Once in a while they had to deep clean, but everybody was deep cleaning. It's not like it
Yeah,
was like stages do this. And I think they all really left, even ones that were shitty and had bad attitudes, left with a ton of knowledge, and they had an amazing time while they were there. I don't think no one ever quit, and I never heard anyone complaining about it. So, um, what I know a lot of people who staged at Noma, and the way the stages at Noma work is, first of all, they have to sign a contract before they get
right,
there. The contract explicitly says that if they quit or like cause disruption, that they'll be
right,
blacklisted from like the world of high-end restaurants. Like it explicitly states that in it. I saw it in the
right.
contract. Someone leaked it. And then I don't know if it's true or not. I did a little research. It's hard to find out. It looks like it was hidden, but it seems like someone in Rene Redzepi's family owns the area where the stages are staying. So not
Right.
only do they not stay for free, but they pay rent to him and to his company while they're there. Now, on top of
Yeah.
that, I believe his wife's mother is the head of HR. So there's no one to talk to if something's not
Right.
cool. And on top of that, from my understanding, the stages primarily work on the following menu, not the menu that's being served,
Right.
because the style of the restaurant is foraging and fermenting.
Right.
So it's a lot of picking leaves and berries and shrubs and like foraging and
Right.
cleaning, stuff like that. And I don't think they really get the knowledge. You know, I don't think they really get they get to say on the resume that they staged there, but I don't really think that they're leaving with the knowledge. And to me, that reeks of just like labor abuse, you know? Like,
Right.
how do you feel about that? How do you feel
So
about going to stage in a restaurant and never once getting to cook anything and only like picking cress?
this is the jaded part of Chef Don. Uh
Uh-oh.
it's it's like
Ruh-roh.
so you have Noma. You have an insane number of people that go through there in stage. And it kind of goes into the character of the cook, the character of the stage. Because it's one of those like I've seen people come through kitchens and I'm just like, you have no business being here. You know, and it's like you have no knife skills. And maybe it's like you no business being here yet, or you just don't have the wherewithal to be in a kitchen, to understand how it's a dance, to understand how you have to work clean, to understand that you should have a sharp knife. You know, you have these things, and it's like, or I was watching the thing on YouTube, and they were showing in Noma, and they're sitting there, and the chef is basically yelling at the guy across the table from him, "Plate it from the center out. Plate it from the center out. Are you not listening to, can you not hear me? Plate it from the center out." And the kid across the table was like dropping the ball
Squirming.
repeatedly. And it's like eventually he kicked him off the board. And it's like, you know, if you have, I don't know, hundreds if not thousands of people who have staged at Noma, and you have 50 people with abuse. Yeah, there's people that haven't reported abuse, but it's like, and I'm not saying you should abuse people, but you know, if you're so frustrated, because when you're plating that plate, everything is on your shoulders at that time before it goes out, because you have a customer out there, and everyone likes to say everyone's a VIP, but you have your customer out there, and if it's not perfect, it doesn't go out. And so it's up to you to make it perfect every single time. So like, and this is where, you know, I say you have there's chefs, there's cooks, there's technicians. You're in technician mode. You have to. It's you're not being creative. You're reproducing. You're making a giclée of the chef's artwork. So you're reproducing that, and the chef's name is on that dish, and it goes in front of the chef. And you screw up, and you screw up, and you screw up, and you screw up. So now what happens, I mean, what happens in the kitchen when that happens is now everyone's timing's off. Everyone's, you know, it just sends this backlash. And it's one of those things I can kind of empathize with that chef when, you know, that happens. I had a guy on pasta station. We had fresh pasta. We had one of the most incredible pasta cookers that you can possibly imagine. It's one of those things where you can dump half your pasta water, refill it, and have it to a boil in 6 minutes. I mean, it was like, it was beautiful. And and part of our deal was fresh pasta. And I watched this kid repeatedly, and it was we were doing a cacio pepe, and with a house-made bucatini. And the thing is we're not making this with dry pasta, so the starch water to make the cacio pepe is kind of important. And when you're making it with the fresh pasta, you're not really able to capture that. So what we do is we actually seed the water with semolina, so that way the water naturally, it's almost like you're cooking the dry pasta. But when you do that, you have to change your water frequently. And
Because they're dusted with semolina.
what's that?
Because they're stored and dusted in semolina.
They're dusted in semolina, but we still add semolina to the water.
Okay.
So but the issue is when that starts to cook down, you're
It's very
basically
starchy.
making pasta demi in the
Yeah. It's
and
very
so
starchy.
you have to purge and fill, and it was he was just not getting it. So meanwhile, I have now I have 8 tickets backed up because I'm waiting on pastas, and he's dumping pasta water. We're waiting for it to come up. He's overcooking pasta. He's because he can't give it to my sous chef fully cooked, because my sous chef has to finish it. We have to plate it and send it out. And so,
Is it like a one-time occurrence, or is this someone going down on the pasta station 5 days a week, you know?
well, I mean, this is
Is
on
this the
our
one and only because
he's
he never was
he's
on the station again?
yeah, he was never on that station again. And so, you know, I understand the frustration. I never cursed him out. I held him accountable to it. Afterwards we talked about it. And it's like, it's you're not mature enough to be on this station yet. There will be a time, don't be discouraged, but I can't be in season and have you have
Dragging
have
the entire service.
right with because we're screwed up Bucatini. And
Yeah,
so
so it sounds like the way you dealt with it is the proper way to deal with it, you know?
right, but
Well,
it's
the way that Renee was dealing with it was stabbing people in the leg with a barbecue fork. And I mean, it's just like, first of all, for me personally, like I don't think that the things that he was doing would affect me, but I have a very thick skin, and I
right,
also survived a lot of abuse in teenage behavioral rehab.
right,
They beat the shit out of me. They locked me in small rooms. Like, and,
right.
dude, anything else that happens in life is like, bro, between that and jujitsu, like, bro, nothing's ever gonna be as bad as a black belt sitting on you
And
left.
that's the other part of it is like how thick are these people's skin? Yeah, you shouldn't be stabbing people with forks or pinching them with tweezers. I understand, like, yes, you don't want to be doing that, but it's
Also public humiliation. It was also they were there paying to be there
right,
and being humiliated and abused, and it was like systematic. And okay, so on the flip side, the only time I can remember ever really fucking up in a kitchen is at Gagan at the chef's table. There was this like 6 months period where at the end of service, he would challenge anyone at the chef's table to an omelet competition.
right,
And he would have us crack a bunch of eggs and yolks, and he would make like gorgeous giant omelets and cover them with truffle, and that would be like the last course for people who wanted it. And I worked out a lot. I was working out a lot,
right,
and I had crazy calluses on my hands.
right,
And so I'm standing next to him and I'm cracking eggs and I'm trying to pull the yolks out, and
right,
every single yolk is just
right,
ripping on my hand. And after like five of them, he leans over to me and he goes, Zev, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're embarrassing, you know? And I
right.
was I was like, Chef, my hands are fucked up. I don't know if I can do this right now. And that was it. And we
Right.
never really spoke about it again. It wasn't the end of the world, but like I understand the like what you were saying, how like one person fucking up like that can screw up an entire service, which is a lot of
Right.
money and a lot of time for everybody. But at the same time, like it's food. We were doing two Michelin star, number one in Asia. Um, so the sous chef, when every plate would go in front of him, he'd send things back, but
Right.
he wouldn't even speak. He would just pass it back to the station, and you were expected to fix it without him telling you what was wrong with it. And if
Right.
it happened like twice, he would be like, "The crust is off. The
Right.
dough is too big,"
Right.
like that. And it was cold and weird. He's a very nice, very quiet person. It was just his personality was very quiet. And I used to yell at him all the time, and be like, dude, why can't you say a full sentence? Like what it, um, But I think there's a way to deal with it and there's a way not to deal with it. And
Right.
I just think in the end of the day, man, like it's food and yeah, it has to be perfect. And I'm pissed. I'm very pissed if the sauce is broken. If you pass me a broken sauce, like I want to throw it at you. I do, but I never, I never
Right.
would, and I want to out loud be like, Chef, what the fuck is this? Like how did you not fucking look at it? Were you not watching it while you were cooking it? Were you not watching it while you handed it to me? Why did you hand me a broken fucking sauce, chef?
Right. Did
That's
you
what's going
spit
on
in
in my
this?
head. But out of my mouth, I'm like, chef, I think this sauce is broken. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's broken. It's split. Like you either got to do another one or you got to fix this with some water or something, like
Right.
I can serve this. And I think that's just I think there's a level of ego that these
Right.
abusive chefs have attained where they think that their food is more than food. And I understand art and I understand the experience and I understand, hey man, I've gone to a place and paid $400 for a tasting menu.
Right.
When it's bad, it's bad. I'm mad.
Right.
Like I understand all that, but in the end of the day, like it's just food. It's not a reason to hurt someone. I mean, hurting someone's feelings to me isn't the end of the world. I don't really
So
I don't
so
really
I
care
had
about like name calling and stuff. Public
right.
humiliation is not cool. If you're gonna
So I
call
had
a restaurant around and like humiliate someone, that's not cool. You can traumatize someone like that. But where I draw the line is physical. Dude,
right.
if a chef physically tried to correct me, like tried to discipline me physically, they would get their ass beat right there on the service
Well,
floor, bro.
that's
Like
one of those things where I've had chefs
I would immediately check them. Like,
who wanted to be physical with me. Like you could see it in their eyes. They wanted
yeah,
to
but you're
push me.
9 feet tall,
I
bro.
know, and it's hilarious. And I'll never forget. There was one chef, and we were outside, and the chef was like walking up one side and down the other of me, and we were in this stairwell, and all of a sudden the chef realized that they were in the
Height
dangerous
advantage.
part of this situation. And I so clearly remember their eyes just like get big, and they took like 3 steps back, and like the conversation was over. And I'm like, can I get back in there? And they're like, yes, and walk back in. But it
I had
was
that interaction with the French culinary teachers at Le Cordon Bleu in Thailand. I was in the Thai
right,
program. I wasn't in their program. There was one who was just always up my ass, and I was
right,
so rude to him. One time he came up to me. I was eating a sandwich. He comes up to me and he's like, "Chef, you are not allowed to eat in the hallways." And this dude's nowhere near my size, like
right,
height or he's in an older French, probably in his 50s, very not in shape. And I take a bite, I like get really close to his face and I take a bite of my sandwich. And while
right.
I'm chewing, I'm like, what are you gonna do about it, chef? And he just turned around and walked away, like
This same chef, he was. Are you familiar with? It's a bannacotta. It's basically olive
am I
oil.
familiar with panna cotta?
No, 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 bannacotta. It's
Oh,
basically anchovy
Bagna cotta?
banyacotta.
Is it spelled with a G?
Yes.
Yes. But please explain, yes.
So it's basically we would make it with gypsy peppers, anchovies, olive oil, and garlic, and basically just slow poach it, and at the very end bring it together to make a sauce for our steaks. And so this was a brand spanking new recipe handed to the chef de cuisine. The chef de cuisine, like I'm the one who's making all the base ingredients. Like I'm prepping the sauce for evening service. And so I'm sitting there, and the chef, she's like she's like screaming at me because she wants all of the gypsy's peppers cut paysan. And for anyone who doesn't know what paysan literally means tile. In culinary school, they'll reference like Scrabble tiles is paysan, is like the size of paysan. And so she wants all these gypsy peppers cut like that in order to make the sauce. And I mean, if she wants them cut that way, I'll cut them way. But she gave me the caveat that I wasn't allowed to cut across the grain. So I had to make all of these like squares, but I wasn't allowed to cut across the grain.
Is
And
she
I'm like,
French?
What's that?
Is she French?
No,
The
she's not.
Is it French train, French restaurant?
I don't believe so. But it was like one of those things where I'm trying to explain to her, I'm like, it's impossible to make that cut and not cut across the grain. And so I'm sitting there, I'm
Have to
doing my
cut perpendicular lines.
right. And so she comes over and she starts screaming at me that they're not cut properly. At which point I calmly put my knife on the cutting board. I took one step back and I was like, please
Oh,
show me how to do this. And at this, because she made such a point of it, now everyone's watching. And so she walks over and she picks up the pepper, and I'm like, you'll cut across the grain. At which point she just throws the peppers, knives down, and cut however you want to cut it. It like storms off. But it was like,
so that's
uh,
not abuse. That's not abuse, but it's psychotic, you know?
well, it's there was
In any other industry, in any other place of work, you can't do you
so
can't, you
uh
can't.
there was a couple other things that happened, but it was one of those things where I had not worked there in like a year and a half, and I was out to eat, and a woman walked into the restaurant and sat down, and I only ever saw her from the back, but she had the same haircut, and it's like I could feel my blood pressure just like
You're traumatized because
right.
she tried to publicly humiliate you.
Well,
And
she did it. She did it.
In Old Testament religions, I know in Judaism, I believe in Christianity. I'm not familiar with Islam, but uh, publicly embarrassing someone holds the same level of sin as like killing someone. It's considered
Right,
like equal with that, and
right.
it's humiliating. You know, like it hurts.
So,
Even a big dude like you.
thank you for tuning in to this episode. This is part two of our discussion about Noma and stage and uh, kitchen life. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tune in for the next one where we're going to continue this conversation.